Are you ready?
Wow, that's a lot of words. Too bad I ain't reading them.
Stone Cold. I love how there's one that's like Stone Cold at like 29, Stone Cold at like 34, and then it's like his final form at 35. And I was like, he's only 35. He looks like he's 45, you know?
Stone Cold?
When he was in his prime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was gonna say
when he was like bald and drinking beers and stuff.
Have you seen, like, dude, he's so fucking funny now, man.
He's hilarious.
He's got a TikTok account.
Oh,
he's
nice.
like, he's fully retired and stuff,
Right.
but his TikTok is literally just like he's got a little farm out in the middle of like fucking nowhere and stuff. But it's just like him, and he's got like a bunch of barn cats and shit out there. And so it's just him like out there. I'm gonna show you my kitties. This is Mr. Jingles here. He's cute, you know. He just like this fucking like Stone Cold with a bunch of kitties and
That's
stuff.
funny.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I liked him.
But
I saw Kevin Nash is going to be somewhere.
Yeah, Kevin Nash and Kurt Angle or something.
Yeah. You love Kurt Angle.
It's actually it's funny too if you watch some of these podcasts.
It's cool though,
where they talk about like some of the older wrestlers will get together and they talk about their matches and stuff while they're like having a beer or something. And you see like you see the clips from they're just like fucking slugging it out. And now they're just like, you know, obviously they were acting, you know, and stuff. But it's just really kind of funny to see them in that context, like buddies talking about the shit.
Yeah, totally. I watched Hot Ones with Mick Foley, and he was talking about splitting somebody open the hard way. And he goes, I you know, he grew up and they still would do that where they just punch your eye at an angle and like split you instead of doing the razor blades and all that stuff. The whole is it real argument. And he's like this guy, I forget his name, but he was a WCW guy, ECW guy. And he's like, yeah, split me the hard way. So they assumed he knew how to do it. And he's like, I'm punching him in his nose and his eye. And then the guy looks up at him. He's like, can you stop punching me in the face? Like, in the middle of the match. It's hilarious.
Oh, gosh.
He said he drove more miles than he was making money to pay for gas and stuff.
Dude, you got to watch some of these interviews. They talk about like with Mick Foley, like how he.
So we should talk about wrestling. This is pretty good.
Yeah, this is pretty good, right? No, they were talking about like how he would just basically, if they were going from city to city, they would fly overnight, but he would cash in his plane ticket and not fly with anybody and stuff, and just drive. And then he would just like go to the concessions. He would have a big trash bag full of his clothes. He wouldn't change his underwear ever.
Gross.
And then he would go to concessions and get like all the leftover popcorn and put it in a bag. And then like, just like Triple H would be like, what the hell are you doing with all that popcorn, Mick? He's like, this is dinner, man. I'm going to be on the road. like, I mean, that's cutting corners, man. Like you're not even stopping at McDonald's.
But he really loved wrestling that much too. That's dedication. You know, that was all about getting to the next show. And he even said that he wanted to put on, he's like, you know, every show's your best show, right? Whatever, you know, you can say that. He's like, but, you know, 20 people came to this high school auditorium. He's like, 2 of them probably drove 100 miles to see me. I'm going to give him a good show. Not necessarily to see him, but to see the thing.
Yeah.
So he was like really into performing hard his entire career. And then he's like, I went out and there was like 18,000 people in WWE.
Yeah.
Yes, but then there's going to be 18,000 people tomorrow night. He's like, so I did hold some back because you have to give a good show every night. You can't just go all out, split your face open and be all fucked up for.
I mean, you can imagine if he had to do a show after like the Hell in the Cell match with Taker.
He was broken. Yeah, that was legendary, man. And ECW there was some arguably bigger shots and stuff that people have taken. Mm-hmm. But that's just so iconic because nobody was expecting it. He went off the top. Into the table.
It's funny. And he wasn't like a traditional looking wrestler. Like to look at him, man. Like he was kind of frumpy, like definitely dad bod material, you know, kind of stuff. But he's like but he's going up against like fucking these big jack dudes and stuff like that. And if you look at them like in real life, you stack them up next to each other. I'm like, all right, dude, if you were fighting that guy IRL, like you'd get rocked, dude.
Yeah, and his suggestion to Vince about becoming Mankind Mutilator, because they wanted to call him the Mutilator or something. Mm-hmm. And then it just stuck as Mankind. He's like, I guess Vince took it into whatever. And it's just kind of a weird, you know, you never hear about like Vince actually taking anybody's advice or like idea into consideration. You always hear like the opposite, like, oh, he's a total asshole. He doesn't like anything you do, blah, blah, blah. But it's kind of cool to like, you know, he gives credit where it's due and stuff, you know. And Mick's apparently a really nice guy. He goes, when he got to the big show, he said that everybody was nice to him. So that's why he's like, this is how I want to be treated. So this is how I'm going to treat everybody else instead of being like, new guy in the locker room, fuck you.
Remember, I read his autobiography.
Yeah, I remember you reading that
when I was in high school and stuff, and it's a great story and stuff. But man,
that's when he really became popular.
That was the one thing I loved about him, dude. Is he was just
sadly he blew up right at the end of his career.
Yeah, I mean, but like he was just such a personable.
He was just so weird though. Mankind was just such a weird character.
It was a weird character, but it worked for him. But he had like. That dude had so many different in-ring personas, man.
Dude love?
Dude love Cactus Jack. But I remember, I think there was one time I was watching, it was like back during the Monday Night Raw era or whatever, and he was like feuding with Triple H or whatever, and like that was a good one. He's like, "You're gonna make me go to a place where I haven't been in years," and he takes off the mask. "You've got Cactus Jack," and then everyone was like, "Oh shit!"
Like
because he's like all ECW, Cactus Jack is like all hardcore and everything, So I don't know, it was nuts.
And which is cool that he was able to bring those characters forward as well. Like that's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd allow that now, but just with the IPs and who owns them and stuff, I guess they own ECW now. But before the match, Vince was like, "No fucking thumbtacks, bitches!" Like to the both of them before that big match that we watched.
And there was thumbtacks.
And
there was thumbtacks all over that ring, man.
Apparently, like Triple H was like, "Are you gonna bring?" He's like, "I already put him under the mat." He's like, "I figured you did. Nice." Like, they were just like, "Fuck you, we're going nuts." Yeah. And he goes, "I knew I was gonna either lose an eye or something, or take that pedigree to the face, with all the thumbtacks." He's like,
"Well, I think it was worth it." I remember watching that pay per view. I don't remember which one it was, but I just remember
we watched it together. I remember that.
Yeah, I remember. And then you remember seeing like Triple H get up off the mat, and he's got thumbtacks all up in his forehead and stuff.
Which he's kind of a pretty boy, so I didn't expect him to be like hardcore like that. I'm like, oh, it's like The Rock doesn't take thumbtacks, like. This is the crazy people do that shit, like Mankind.
All right, you want to go ahead and get into this show?
Well, now I want to talk about wrestling.
Now we want to talk. We should just do a wrestling podcast.
I know, right? Dude, they're actually pretty entertaining when they talk to the guys, and the wrestlers are pretty into being, like on those podcasts. Like, they're like, this is cool, man. Yeah.
Most definitely.
My favorite kind of weed is cocaine. What is that? Who's that comedian? That's the dude who talks to the guy about Jesse Ventura voice.
Oh, Will Sasso.
Yeah.
Well, down in the Baja. When I was in the Baja.
Yeah, that dude's silly.
Down there's no building regulations down in the Baja. I can't do it the way
tacos.
I can't do it the way Will Sasso does it, but it's pretty legendary.
It's classic. All right, now that we have to edit our WWE podcast we just gave.
All right, here we go. We're going on in 5,